Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thanksgiving NFL Player Prop Show. My name is Dylan Bird, here once again on Sal Vetri's YouTube channel, and I'm extremely excited to get to this special edition of the show. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, if not my favorite holiday, and I want to be the first to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone has a great day with family, with friends, whoever you are spending Thanksgiving with. And one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving is getting together with friends and having a turkey bowl in the morning. You know, play a football game, 5v5, 6v6, smaller, bigger, whatever you prefer. Where I am in New York, it's actually supposed to be raining on Thanksgiving morning when we're supposed to play, but we'll play through it. You know, if you get a little muddy, you get a little muddy, but gotta play football no matter what on Thanksgiving morning. So that is what I'll be doing. I'm really, really excited for that. Before we talk about the NFL player props that we are going to take for Thanksgiving Day, let's talk a little bit about my performance last week. I went 7-1 on player props last week, 7-2 if you kept the Robert Woods pick in there. I had Robert Woods under receiving yards originally in the video, and I subbed it in for Chris Godwin over receptions at the last second. Robert Woods' receiving yards line dropped like 8 to 10 yards from what Monkey Knife Fight had to the time of the game. So I decided not to do that prop at the last second. I let everyone know on Twitter, and I switched it to Godwin's receptions, which hit. So it went 7-1 on the week. We hit on Antonio Gibson over rushing yards, Tyler Boyd over receptions, Deontay Johnson over receptions, Keenan Allen over receptions, Justin Herbert over passing yards, which was a late add as well, Tyreek Hill over receiving yards, and Chris Godwin over receptions. The only thing we missed was Juju Smith-Schuster over receptions, and he got hurt early in the fourth quarter because he actually slipped on a flag that the ref threw. Pretty unfortunate, but okay, one player prop missed, and it was partially because a guy got hurt in the fourth quarter, so I'll take it. Absolute heater last week, and I'm looking to continue that this week on Thanksgiving. But before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that you could follow me on Twitter at sports_bird. That is where I will be updating picks, whether it's right before game time, a little bit before. I'll do it in between games, whenever it is, but the lines are quickly changing. So Twitter is where I update everyone on what my picks are going to be right before the game, if I'm changing anything, if I'm keeping everything the same. So be sure to follow me there. In addition, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out. It really helps Sal out. In addition, I also have a YouTube channel myself called SportsBird, and that is B-U-R-D with Bird. If you don't know how to spell my last name, you could also see it on the bottom over there. But I do my waiver wire show on there every single Tuesday. I also do my college football betting picks every single Friday. So if you're into that stuff, be sure to subscribe as well. And also just wanted to let you know that this NFL player prop show is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. You can go onto Monkey Knife Fight and they will match your deposit 100% up to $50 with the promo code VETRI, VETRI. If you love prop betting, then Monkey Knife Fight is a great place to take advantage of this great deposit bonus. Now let's get started. The first Thanksgiving player prop that we are going to talk about today, we have Will Fuller's receiving yards line at 70.5. Will Fuller comes into this game with a 42% matchup advantage against Detroit cornerback Desmond Trufant. That's the 6th highest matchup advantage in the NFL this week. According to Pro Football Focus, that's talking about matchup advantages between wide receivers over corners, 6th highest. Additionally, the Detroit Lions, they cannot defend the pass at all. They rank 30th in coverage. They also rank 25th in the NFL in terms of opponent passing yards per game at 258.4 and rank 21st in pass rush. So Lions defense, not good at all. Lions passing defense, also not good at all. And the Texans have a 13% pass blocking advantage in this game. It's going to be a pretty big day for this Houston Texans passing offense, and Will Fuller is going to be a major beneficiary. Also, Randall Cobb, the wide receiver, the third wide receiver on the Houston Texans team, is out with a toe injury. So Will Fuller is going to see a slight increase in targets as well. So 5 out of 10 times this year, Will Fuller has hit this over of 70.5 receiving yards in a game. I think against the Detroit Lions passing defense, which is really, really not good, especially with Cobb out, where he'll see possibly an increase in targets and touches. I think that Will Fuller goes over 70.5 receiving yards in this game. The second Thanksgiving player prop that we are going to talk about today is something having to do with DeAndre Swift, Kenny Golladay, and Marvin Jones. Now, why I don't give specifics is because I'm recording this on Tuesday night, and currently there are no player props out for this Detroit Lions offense in terms of positional players. And the reason why is because they have no idea who's going to play. DeAndre Swift and Kenny Golladay are both questionable for this afternoon Thanksgiving game. DeAndre Swift, He was limited in the Lions walkthrough on Tuesday. He missed last week due to a concussion. He was limited, so they're saying he could be trending towards playing. It's definitely a step in the right direction. The fact that he was limited and didn't sit out at all. Now, Kenny Golladay, he sat out completely from this walkthrough with a hip injury. He's missed the last few weeks with that injury, and it looks like as a result, Golladay may not play. Swift may play. Nobody really knows yet. I included this in here, without really giving anything specific because the Texans defense is absolutely horrible, and I will probably be taking a Lions positional player prop. So I feel like I should include this in here, and I'll say follow me on Twitter at sports_bird for me to update you on which Lions over I am going to take. Now, just some Lions stats for you this week in this game to show why I'm looking hard at these Lions overs when the lines do come out. The Lions have a 8% pass blocking advantage this week and 18% run blocking advantage. In addition, the Texans defense ranks 27th in pass rush, 28th in coverage, 27th in run defense, 25th in tackling, 22nd in opponent passing yards per game, which is at 252.4, 32nd in opponent rushing yards per game. So the defense is absolutely atrocious. In addition, Marvin Jones has a 53% matchup advantage against his opponent, Vernon Hargreaves, according to Pro Football Focus, and that is the third highest in the NFL this week for a wide receiver over a corner. So if Kenny Golladay is out, Marvin Jones looks like a guy that you could definitely hit some props on. So that's why I'm currently looking at all these right now, but there aren't any out right now due to the lack of news or lack of injury report, I should say, on DeAndre Swift and Kenny Golladay. So we're waiting for those props to come out, but if those props come out and they look a little bit lower than I anticipate what they will be, I probably will be taking at least one over between DeAndre Swift, Kenny Golladay, and Marvin Jones, whether that be Swift rushing yards, Swift receiving yards, Golladay receiving yards, Jones receiving yards, Golladay receptions, Jones receptions. I'm going to have to see what the lines are, and I will let you know. But right now, we're just putting this in here because there aren't any props currently out, but I probably will take at least one or two of these guys in terms of their props. So that is what we have for the second prop of the day. The third player prop that we're going to talk about today, we have Deshaun Watson's rushing yards line at 31.5. So for this pick, we're going to do something a little bit different. We have our first official guest pick since this show began a few weeks ago. So a few hours earlier, before I made this video, I got a text from Sal, and he said, quote, "At if some point during it, you want to let the good people know that Deshaun Watson over rushing yards will make them rich, that'll be lovely." You can screenshot this text for the video if needed. So as you can see here, we have the screenshot of the text. This legitimately happened. Sal likes the over 31.5 rushing yards on Deshaun Watson this week. And I did a lot of research into it myself, and I could say I agree firmly with him. Watson's been running a lot more lately. He's cleared this number, this 31.5 number, in 4 consecutive games. In addition, the Lions ranked 22nd in run defense and 31st in tackling. So looking at the last 4 weeks, like I said, that Watson has cleared this number. Week 7, he ran for 38 yards on 7 carries. Week 9, he ran for 50 yards on 10 carries. Week 10, 36 yards on 8 carries. And last week, week 11, he ran for 36 yards on 6 carries. So Watson is getting a lot more rushing attempts and rushing yards than he was at the beginning of the season. This number is just way too low. Hammer, hammer, hammer the over Deshaun Watson rushing yards in this game. That's our first guest pick of the year. Sal, credit to him for coming in with this pick, letting me know about it, and I could say I completely agree with him. Take that Deshaun Watson over rushing yards line. The fourth player prop that we're going to talk about today, we're looking at Antonio Gibson's rushing yards line at 52.5. This sounds awfully familiar, as it's one that I've taken the over on several times this year. But looking at this particular matchup, we have Washington, who has a 19% run blocking advantage against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, their defense is absolutely atrocious. They rank 28th in run defense, 31st in rushing yards allowed per game at 153.8 per game. In addition, this is a game that I think is going to be pretty close. Now, Antonio Gibson, Washington does a thing where Gibson gets more snaps and carries if the game is close, just because if Washington is down and they have to pass a lot, they put McKissick in for passing downs because he's a better pass blocker. So I think this game is going to be close. I think Washington may even be winning at some points. And as a result, I think Gibson is going to get more snaps and more carries than J.D. McKissick in this game. Looking at what happened the last time that Washington played Dallas, that is exactly what happened. Washington was winning the entire game, and as a result, Gibson had 20 carries for 128 yards and a touchdown. It was his best game of the season, and he hit his over rushing yards prop approximately 5 minutes into the game. So I think that this rushing yards prop is way, way, way too low for Antonio Gibson. Hammer the over. I'm taking the over. Antonio Gibson, 52.5 rushing yards in this game. This is probably my prop that I'm most confident in on the slate on Thursday. The next player prop that we're going to talk about today, we actually have a double. We have Amari Cooper's receiving yards prop at 51.5. We have Amari Cooper's receptions prop at 4.5. So we have another double. We did this with Devontae Adams a couple of weeks ago. We have another double here. And Amari Cooper, just to start off, has a decent matchup against Ronald Darby. Darby's really, really good, but Pro Football Focus has Cooper at an 11% matchup advantage in this game. Now, Washington is the best pass defense in the league according to opponent passing yards per game at 195.4. They also rank 4th in coverage. So Washington is no joke against the pass despite their record. But that being said, Amari Cooper is playing really, really well right now, even with Andy Dalton at QB. He hasn't been scoring touchdowns, but in 5 games with Dalton the quarterback, Cooper has cleared this receiving yards number 4 times. Additionally, in 5 games with Dalton the quarterback, Amari Cooper has cleared this 4.5 receptions total 4 out of the 5 games. He's also had 7 receptions in 2 out of those 5 games. Also, he's averaging 7 targets per game with Andy Dalton at quarterback. Against Washington, the last time they played, he had 7 catches for 80 yards receiving. Another note here, Amari Cooper, he always shows up on Thanksgiving. So 2 years ago in 2018, he had 8 receptions for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. And last year in 2019, he had 8 catches for 85 yards. Now, obviously, Dak Prescott is not quarterback, so things are not the same. But we got a game that everyone's going to be watching. The best receiver on the Cowboys, Amari Cooper, is going to show up. Dalton loves to target him. And I think that Cooper continues to play well with Dalton, the quarterback. Cooper, I think these numbers are just way, way too low for a guy the caliber of Amari Cooper. So I think that Amari Cooper hits his over 51.5 receiving yards and his over for 4.5 receptions in this game against Washington. I know that it is a tough matchup for him, but I think that Cooper is a guy who's matchup proof. I also think somebody's got to catch the passes for Dallas. Now, I know that there's Gallup and CeeDee Lamb there, but Cooper is the guy that seems to be Dalton's favorite. I think he goes over both of these props in this game. Our last duo of player props that we are going to look at here, we have another double for Terry McLaurin, 67.5 receiving yards and 5.5 receptions. So Terry McLaurin comes into this game with a 28% matchup advantage against his opponent, Chidobe Awuzie. And like I mentioned with Antonio Gibson, Dallas's defense is awful. They rank 29th in coverage. They're 29th in total defense, and wide receivers have been destroying them all season. We saw it last week with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Justin Jefferson had 3 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown in that game last week against Dallas. Adam Thielen had 8 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game as well. McLaurin in week 7 against Dallas had a great game, 7 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. So looking at McLaurin throughout the season, he's cleared the 67.5 receiving yards total in the last 5 games. He's also cleared it 7 out of 10 times in this season. He's also had 7 receptions or more in 6 out of 10 games this season, and against the Cowboys defense that is absolutely horrific, there should be absolutely no difference here. I expect Terry McLaurin to destroy the Dallas Cowboys. Now, another stat on McLaurin, he has a 26.7% target share on the season, which ranks 8th in the NFL amongst wide receivers, 93 targets total, which ranks 6th amongst receivers. That's 9.3 targets per game. I like both of these overs, over 67.5 receiving yards and over 5.5 receptions in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. So we have an entire slate of overs. The first time we have had that in any prop show this year. Now, I'm actually not touching the Baltimore Steelers game. As of now, I will let you know on Twitter if that does change. That's a game you could probably be looking at some unders, but all those props are purposely set really, really low just because it's going to be a defensive battle between the Steelers and Ravens. If that game does in fact happen, there's rumors that it may not because of COVID problems. We'll have to see what happens there, but these are all my props, all overs. Sometimes I do try to force some unders in there each week, but I'm going to stick with what's working right now, which is a lot of the overs. And look, I'm on a heater, and I hope that continues into this week on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday. Love to be doing this special edition of the Prop Show for Thanksgiving. If you got any questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter at sports_bird once again. In addition, just wanted to remind you that like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Be sure to also go follow my YouTube channel, SportsBird. The link is in the description below. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and good luck with your prop betting.